Hello students, how are you? So, we had started the chapter wind, storms and cyclones. Okay. In the first video of wind, storms and cyclones, we were discussing about winds and we discussed about the flow of the wind, and I told you that because of unevenness of hotness and coldness of a particular area, the wind flows from a region of high pressure to the region of the low pressure. Okay, means the place where the high pressure will be there, the wind will move from that place to the region where it will be low pressure. Okay, and then we discussed about that how air exerts pressure. Okay, simple activity was shown, or you can say discussed, that when a can containing a hot water, which also which contains hot water, and due to which steam is also produced inside it. So, when a cold water is poured over it, what happens? The steam condenses and forms water. So, the amount of gas in the can decreases, and as the amount of air in the can decreases, the amount of air is outside also the can. So, the pressure becomes high outside the can, and inside the can the pressure of the air is less. Okay. So, due to this pressure, the shape of the can distorted, okay, or it changes. Okay. Then we discussed this diagram that the sun warms the land, which warms the air. Okay. So, air, as the warm air, it is lighter in weight, so it rises up, and up in the atmosphere the temperature is cool, because of the high altitude the temperature is less. So, the air cools and cold dense air sinks. Okay. And this is the process of flow of the wind. Okay. So, this was what we discussed in the first video of wind, storms and cyclones. So, the next topic is generation of wind currents due to uneven heating of the earth. There are two situations where winds on the earth generate. Let us see the first one. Uneven heating between the equator and poles causes the north south winds. Okay. Uneven heating between the equator and poles causes the north south winds. We know that the earth is divided into circular lines called the latitudes that specify the north south position of a place on the globe. Okay, you might have seen the globe. On that globe, that circular lines are there that represent the latitudes. Okay, you know the two types of lines, latitudes and the longitudes. Okay, we know that the earth is divided into circular lines called latitudes that specify the north south position of a place on the globe. Also, the equator is the latitude that is perpendicular to the axis of earth rotation. Means the equator, you can say it is the middle part, but it is perpendicular to the axis of the earth rotation. Means earth is rotating, see, earth revolves around the sun, but at the same times it also rotates around its own axis. So, the axis around which it rotates, okay, like this. So, the equator is perpendicular to it. Okay. So, this is said. Also, the equator is latitude that is perpendicular to the axis of earth rotation. The regions that are close to the equator receive maximum sunlight on the earth. Okay. Means it is said that at the equator and the places near the equator, the sun is just overhead. So, the maximum heat radiations that are reached on the earth is near the equator. Why? Because the sun is overhead over there. Okay. The position of sun, you can say, or the maximum heat radiation is reached in the equator region or near to the equator region. Okay. In the previous chapter, like we discussed that why Thiruvananthapuram and Jammu Kashmir, like they have different climate, because Thiruvananthapuram was closer to the equator, whereas Jammu Kashmir was far away from the equator. Okay. Similarly, tropical rainforest and the polar regions, why they have so much difference in the climate? Because the polar region is away from the equator. So, the amount of sunlight that is reached on the polar is less, very less. That is why it gets less heated and the temperature there is cold and dry. Whereas, if we talk about the tropical region, what happens there? The sun is overhead. Okay, means just directly the heat radiations are coming. So what happens there, the heat coming from the sun heats the earth's surface also and the air also. So comparatively the temperature is more hotter than polar regions, and it is humid also, because more evaporation will take place, so more precipitation will also occur. So the climate, you can say, of equatorial region, or where the equator is there, it is hot and humid. Okay, this we have discussed already. So the regions that are close to the equator receive maximum sunlight on the earth, hence the air in these regions is generally warm. The warm air therefore rises above, and the cold air from the latitude around the equator moves in that place. Okay, what happens, the air in these region is generally warm, and the warm air therefore rises above, and the cold air from the latitude around the equator moves in that place. Similarly, cold winds from north and south poles move towards the equator and the neighboring latitude, and the circulation of winds takes place on the earth. Similarly, cold winds from the north and south poles, okay, means because at the equator it is hot air, so it will rise because it is less in weight, so there will be low pressure, and once there is low pressure, so the air from the high pressure region will start occupying that region that had been created by the warm air. Okay, so once there is you can say low pressure area, what happens, the warm air rises up, so there is a low pressure area, and once low pressure is created, the wind, or you can say air from the high pressure region moves towards the low pressure region, and this is what results in the flow of wind. Okay, so similarly, cold winds from north and south poles move towards the equator and the neighboring latitude, and the circulation of winds takes place on the earth. Okay, clear, students? Okay, just a minute, read these points again and then we will move forward. Okay. The wind flow pattern because of uneven heating on the earth. Now see, look at these arrows, these two are the poles, okay, the north pole and the south pole, and the midline is the equator. So you can see the direction of the wind is towards the equator, mainly towards the equator. Okay, ultimately the wind will flow from the region of high pressure to the region of low pressure. Okay, so wherever there is such condition that there is a difference of the pressure, the wind will always flow from the high pressure region to the low pressure region. Okay, similar thing is happen over in there, the high pressure is near the poles and the low pressure is near the equator. Why? Because the warm air is present near the equator and it rises up, so there is low pressure. Okay, so the wind from that side move towards the equator. Okay, you might observe in the figure given above, the direction of the wind is not exactly from north to south or from south to north. Now why is it so? Because the diversion in the direction of wind occurs because of the earth's rotation. Okay, because earth keep on rotation and it also keeps on changing its position due to revolution. Okay, so that's why the change in direction of wind occurs. Okay, the next one, uneven heating of land and water causes monsoon winds on earth which bring rainfall. Okay, in the summer season, the land near the equator gets warmer and its temperature generally remains higher than the ocean. In the summer season, the land near the equator gets warmer and its temperature generally remains higher than the ocean. As a result, what are above the land rises and the cold air from the oceans moves towards the land. These winds are called monsoon winds. Okay, similar thing is happening again over here, land near the equator gets warmer. Okay, so the water above the land rises and the cold air from the ocean moves towards the land. Okay, we have studied this also in the breeze when we are discussing the sea breeze and the land breeze. Okay, similar thing is, these winds are called monsoon winds. Since these winds come from the ocean, they carry water with them. In a similar way, the winds in the winter season move from land towards the ocean. Okay, because these winds come from the ocean, they carry water with them, or you can say amount of water vapor, also moisture in them. Getting it? That's why we say that the coastal area, the region of the coastal area is humid. The amount of water vapor over there is higher. Okay, so since these winds come from the ocean, they carry water with them. And in a similar way, the winds in the winter season move from the land towards the ocean. Okay, read this points, and then we will be moving forward. Now you can see the direction of monsoon winds in India. Okay, now look at the arrows. See what is happening. The wind is blowing from the ocean towards the land surface. Okay, why? Again the same reason, because of the coastal region, the uneven heating of land and the water, the land gets heated more quickly as compared to the water. So the air above the land get warmth, and it rises up, and the air over there is replaced by the cold air from the oceans. Okay, so that's why these are the arrows, direction of monsoon winds in India. Clear, students? Next topic is thunderstorms and cyclones. Although monsoon winds are important for agriculture purposes and in regulating the temperature conditions of a place, sometimes excess of rainfalls and strong winds can lead to natural disasters such as thunderstorms and cyclones. Okay, yeah, this we definitely know that in India, majority of the economy, or you can say, it is because of the agriculture. Most of the land of our India is used for agriculture. So for agriculture purposes, the monsoon winds are very important. Okay, why? Because they regulate the temperature and conditions of the place. So that's why the types of crops grown in different parts of India is different. Why? Because of different kinds of rainfall pattern. In some places the rainfall is high, in some places the rainfall is low. So according to that, the crop that needs more water can be grown where the rainfall is high, and the crop which needs less water can be grown where the temperature, you can say, the rainfall is less. Okay, so that's why these monsoon winds are very important for agriculture purposes, as they regulate the temperature and condition of a place. Okay, now thunderstorms, an event in the environment in which strong winds blow accompanied by heavy rainfall, thunder and lightning are called thunderstorm. Again, what is it? The thunderstorm, an event in the environment in which strong winds blows, not only strong winds blow, but it is accompanied by heavy rainfall, thunder and lightning are called thunderstorm. Okay, thunderstorms occur in hot and humid tropical regions mainly. These regions generally have higher temperature which causes wind. Okay, I told you, when the wind as the speed of the wind decreases, when the difference in the temperature is pressure is more. Okay, so an event in the environment in which strong winds blow accompanied by heavy rainfall, thunder and lightning are called thunderstorm. Thunderstorms occur in hot and humid tropical regions mainly. These regions generally have higher temperatures which cause winds. These hot winds, when moved upwards, also have water vapor within them which freezes and falls on earth as rain. Okay, similar to the water cycle, because water vapor, they evaporate, and then going up in the atmosphere the temperature is low, so they condense, and condense after they form water again, and they fall as precipitation or rainfall. The rainfall and rising air create lightning in the air accompanied by a sound, and as a result a thunderstorm occurs. This continuous movement of air and water vapors with to and fro. Okay, so what happens, the rainfall and the rising air create lightning in the air accompanied by sound, and as a result a thunderstorm occurs. Okay students, so these are the points related to the thunderstorms. Read this point again and then we will moving forward. Done students? Okay, now with the help of diagram you can see the formation of a thunderstorms. What happens, the cold air is moving downward and the warm humid air rises. Okay, so this rapid movement, and rain is also dropping downwards. So this rapid movement, this result into the formation of a thunderstorm. Okay, this continuous movement of air with the rainfall. Okay, and this because of continuous attraction, or you can say the continuous friction between these airs, this causes the charges, and that's why the lightning occurs. Okay, precaution that one should take during a thunderstorm. What are the precautions that one should take? One should not take shelter under an isolated tree during storm and lightning. Instead, one can take shelter under a small tree if near a forest area. Okay. One should not lie on the ground. One should not use or carry an umbrella which has a metallic rod. Why it is said so? Because in the lightning there is a flow of charge. So if you carry an umbrella which has a metallic rod, and we know that metal is a very good conductor of heat as well as electricity. And how does the electricity flow? Because of the flow of the charge. So if there will be metal surface or any metal surface around that charge, then it can easily flow. And once it flow into the metal rod, because that metal rod is in contact with your hands, so it can also flow into your body, and that can be very fatal. Okay, so that's why one should not use or carry an umbrella which has a metallic rod. And why it is said that one should not lie on the ground? Because you have seen sometimes the lightning may fall on the ground. Okay, one should not take shelter under an isolated tree during storm and lightning. Instead, one can take shelter under a small tree. Okay, because big trees which are isolated, the big trees, isolated means a single tree in very large area, like a banyan tree or a peepal tree, because these trees are large enough and they are very prone to the lightning strike. Okay, so that's why these are certain precautions. Next one should stay away from windows and doors at that time. One should not take shelter in an open garage, metal shed or storage sheds. Again the same thing, garage, because there is many metallic items over there, metallic shed or storage sheds. It is advisable to take a shelter in a car or a bus. One should not stay in the water. People should try to move inside a building as soon as possible. Okay, very important again. These precautions need to be taken when there is a thunderstorm. First one should not take shelter under an isolated tree during storm and lightning. Instead, one can take shelter under a small tree if near a forest area. One should not lie on the ground. One should not use or carry an umbrella which has a metallic rod. One should stay away from the windows and doors at that time. One should not take shelter in an open garage, metal shed or storage sheds. It is advisable to take a shelter in a car or a bus. One should not stay in water. People should try to move inside a building as soon as possible. Okay, students? So these are the points that are the precautions that one should take during a thunderstorm. Okay, read by yourself. Okay, students, so this was what we today discussed about the thunderstorms. Okay, in the next video we will be discussing about the cyclones. Okay, students, and it is advised to you that keep studying, keep making notes of the chapter that is being discussed. Okay, and whatever the doubt that comes to you, you can ask them. Okay, take care of yourselves and have a nice day. Thank you.